Afternoon, folks. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. And what we're going to do today is we're going to make a simple screw vise for the side of our shave horse. A very simple process that only takes a couple of specialized tools, but those tools give you versatility in your woodworking that can expand to many, many projects. Stay with me and we'll get started. Okay, so the way a screw vise works is it has some type of leveraging device at the bottom of the bench where either this leg is attached to the bench or attached to a leg on the bench or something like that that keeps it stationary, keeps it in place, and allows it to lever one direction or the other. And what I've done here is I've just dropped a broom handle or a tool handle down in front of the legs inside my shave horse. Now, you could use anything you want to use for that. This is just dropped right down in front, and it could be on the ground all the way like this. It doesn't matter. It could just be a stick, for that matter, if you were in the woods. So you wouldn't have to carry something extra or have something attached to the bottom of this thing all the time. Now, this part basically just screws in to tighten the vise, and it leverages against that bottom part, just like this, so that when you screw it down, it gets tight. And that gives you that vising so that you can do planing work and things like that that you might not be able to do in the shave horse itself to make this a more versatile bench. Now, making the screw portion of this is the part that is difficult unless you have the right tools. If you have the right tool, it is very, very simple. There are two tools that you need to make this with, and I'm going to show you those in just a minute. And the only thing we have here is a T of black iron pipe, and it's 3/4 inch ID. So I've taken 3/4 inch material, screwed two 4-inch pieces in on each side, and then screwed it directly into the wood screw that we're about to make. That screws into the side of this bench where we have tapped threads for the screw to go into. And I'll show you how that's made right now. Okay, there's a couple pieces of this puzzle that you need. First of all, you need a piece of stock approximately the diameter of your thread cutter. Then you're going to need a thread cutter, which is this, a very simple tool with blades inside of it. You can buy these on Amazon. They're about 25 bucks. And then you're going to need a tap. And you can buy the tap from the same place on Amazon. It's about 15 or 18 bucks, I believe, for the tap. And it has a screw in the top of it, a set screw so that you can put a T-handle in there if you want to, just like this. Screw it down tight, and then you can chase your hole, because you're going to drill a hole slightly smaller. So if you've got a 3/4 inch tap, you're going to drill a 5/8 hole in the side of your bench and tap these threads into it. Then I'm going to take a 3/4 inch piece of dowel, and I just put this thread cutter on the dowel and begin to turn it like this. And as it begins to thread itself, it's cutting shavings that are coming out of here. And as it cuts those shavings out, it's creating threads. And when it comes through here, you'll see the threads that are being created on here are right here coming out the end of this thing. Then we just back it off. Once we get the threads, as long as we need them for the project that we're making. So once we've made our thread, all we need to do is tap a hole for that thread to go into. And I'll just take this piece of poplar, lock it in a vise real quick, and I'll just use an electric drill. And I'll take a 5-inch or a 5/8 inch wood boring bit here. And we'll drill a hole in this real quick. All of this can be done with hand augers, obviously. And once we've done that, we can then take our tap get it set up, and run it down through the hole just like this. Again, I drilled this hole a little smaller because this tap's going to bore it out. It's got cutters on it to bore it out. So I went 5/8 for a 3/4 inch threaded hole. And this should screw straight down in there. Just like this. Lock it down tight. There we go. Just like that. So that allows us to make lots and lots of other things, from different types of clamps to vices to bases and stands to screw together pieces of furniture and things like that. And you can buy different size taps and dies depending on the diameter you want to make the screw itself. Now what we did on this is we just took our piece of 2x stock right here and we drilled it a little bit larger because it doesn't screw, it's floppy. So as long as the diameter of this hole is no bigger than the collar on this T, we're good and safe. And then all we have to do is set that wedge at the bottom, and like I said, that could be just about any stick. Put our material that we want to work on in the vise and screw it down solid, and we're good. The harder wood you use, the more strong those screws and tapped holes are going to be. The softer wood you use, the weaker they're going to be. Typically you would use hardwood for these things. I used a hardwood dowel, but most people's idea of a hardwood dowel is poplar, which is not very hard. So I could strip this out pretty easy if I tried to crank on it really hard, but because of the amount of pressure we've got on here, we don't need to tighten it down real tight to get a good lock on this piece of wood. It's not going to move around too much, no matter what we do. Alright folks, well that was just a real simple do-it-yourself type video on how to make a screw vise for the side of your woodcrafter's bench. It's a very easy process. You're going to have to make the initial investment obviously of the thread cutter and the tap, but you can use that for lots and lots of projects, to include the most simple rudimentary type wood clamps that one of them screws from one side, one screws from the other side, and as you rotate it, it gets smaller or larger. You can make that exact same type of clamp with this setup very, very easily, and you could make multiple types of wood clamps once you make the investment in the tap and die. I'm Dave Canterbury with Self-Reliance Outfitters in the Pathfinder School. I appreciate your views. I appreciate your support. I thank you for everything you do for our school, for our family, and for our business, for all of our sponsors, instructors, affiliates, and friends, and I'll be back with another video as soon as I can. Thanks, guys.